The NFHS Network, and we have got a good matchup on tap for you this afternoon. Welcome into Joel Coliseum. My name is Phil Cox. Happy to have you with us. It is time for the East Men's 1A Regional that puts against one another Wilson Prep and Bertie High School. Wilson coming into today with a record of 25-5 under the guidance of Anthony Atkinson Jr. and, of course, Ben Ferguson, a guy to look at, the only starter that was not on last year's title-winning team, and he has had a special year for Wilson Prep. And then over for Bertie Prep, the Falcons, of course, under the guidance of Johnny Rasco. You look at what Zamir Dempsey has done over the course of the year, and he is a special, special player. And talking to some of the Wilson Prep folks, the coaching staff, they feel like if they can slow down him, they've got a great opportunity to get it done today. So Ferguson for Wilson and Dempsey for Bertie, a couple of the guys we'll be looking at today. Of course, the winner of this game gets the winner of the West 1A Regional, which will pit South Stokes and Corvian Community. That game's slated to start at 8 o'clock. That will wrap up our action here in Winston on this Monday. Exciting time around college basketball, around the country. Just such a super exciting time with March Madness upon us. And this should be a big-time matchup today between two elite teams, elite programs in the state of North Carolina. As we said, Wilson Prep enters with a record of 25-5, undefeated in conference play, 16-0. You look at Bertie, they enter 26-4, 9-3 in league action coming into today. Again, Wilson team, defending state champions, top seed. Coach Anthony Atkinson Jr. talked about how well his team has practiced leading up to today. They feel like they need to be who they are. They were locked in defensively versus Southern Wake, a Wilson team that had a big lead versus Southern Wake, but saw that lead evaporate in that win, 54-52. Team that comes in with a lot of confidence, has been beating teams by some pretty impressive margins. To find their last loss, a really head-scratcher, a game versus Greenfield at home, 78-52, kind of an outlier, an aberration, if you will, for this Wilson Prep squad. Bertie coming in very, very confident as well. And, of course, the winner will get South Stokes and the Corvian Community winner a little bit later. Officials assigned for today's game, Rick McLean is the referee. He's paired with Kevin Jones and Eric Perdue. So congratulations to those three gentlemen for drawing this assignment. Wilson in the white, Bertie in the black, and we're underway here in Winston-Salem. Driving in, Ferguson losing the ball, and Bertie forcing the turnover here in the first 10 seconds of play. Floater by Trevon Halloran is short, and Wilson's got the rebound. A Wilson team that can really fill it up, and a 4-point play opportunity on the way for Josh Hicks. Pushing the tempo was Brandon Anderson, and Hicks is fouled. Not sure if that was Roscoe or Pillman Holly that got him, but at any rate, it's a 4-point play. It was Kai Pillman Holly who committed the foul. And a 4-point play to get us started this afternoon. Wilson with the loose ball, collected by David Ellis. Here come the Tigers the other way. Near turnover as Dempsey stepped in. Zamir Dempsey having a special year. Anthony Atkinson talking about needing to slow him down in order to get the win and advance here today. From the wing, Leslie Minter knocks down a three. Just like that, it's 7-0, Wilson. Into the front court comes Roscoe. Kelvin Roscoe, now Pillman Holly. A three up and no good by Halloran. And down with the board is David Ellis. He's grabbed a couple here in the early going. Wilson Prep really looking to force some tempo. A floater, no good by Anderson. And Bertie down with the rebound. Let's see if the Falcons can get comfortable here in the early minutes. Prep hitting them with a 4-point play. And then a three on top of that, and it's 7-0 right out of the gates here in the first nearly 2 minutes of action. A nice drive, but Pillman-Holly can't finish. And out of bounds to Wilson Prep. As we said, had to hang on versus Southern Wake. Had a double-digit lead that saw that nearly go by the wayside. Says they need to be locked in today. They call themselves the Party Boys, do Wilson Prep. A lot of swagger, a lot of confidence, and why not? Leslie Minter knocks in another three, and it's 10-0. Timeout, Bertie. Defending champions out of the gate, flexing their muscle in the early going. Ferguson finding an open Minter, and it's 10-0 Wilson. Tigers, knowing there is no time to rest. They survived a last-second three-point attempt by Southern Wake on Friday night at the Tigers' Den to advance for a fourth consecutive year to the East Final. Coach Atkinson said they're ready. They can't wait. Love their practice. Felt like they're ready to go. They're just trying to keep a little rhythm, making sure the scouting report holds up. Everybody's on the same page. Just being who they are, working so far, out to a 10-0 lead. Boy, just being hounded, the double team. Wilson Prep out to a 10-0 lead as that three-pointer stays in for Zamir Dempsey. So our player to watch, a guy averaging better than 20 points a game, finally gets Bertie on the board. Near turnover, bodies to the floor, and a held ball. Alternating possession error will give it to Bertie. So 10-3, 5:22 left to play here first period. My name's Phil Cox. Happy to have you with us today on the NFHS Network here from Winston-Salem. Second of 4 games from Joel Coliseum here on this Monday. Regional championships being handed out. Again, 10-3 our score. Wilson scored the first 10. Dempsey had a 3 to stay down to get Bertie on the board. And Wilson doing such a great job defensively, and Coach Atkinson talked about that, how locked in his defense was. Didn't like the fact that they nearly gave up all of that lead against Southern Wake, but love how their defense clamped down. And they are doing that here in the early going. Knocked away by Hicks. It'll stay with Bertie. (10-3) the score, 4:53 left to play first quarter. See if Bertie can start to find somewhat of a comfort level offensively. So Bertie trying to get the ball in bounds. And they're down low. And a lot of contact. And Pillman-Holly earns the foul for Bertie. And Kai Pillman-Holly heading to the line for the Bertie Falcons. Talked about that defense for Wilson and just how good it's been. Look at recent scores, just 52 points given up to Southern Wake, 47 allowed versus North Duplin, 35 allowed to Northside Pinetown, 32 to Warren County. I mean, it's just impressive how good the defense has been for Wilson Prep of late, really all year. 10-3 the score. Wilson leading Bertie here in our second regional of the day here in Winston-Salem. What a drive from Roscoe. Has it blocked. A lot of traffic underneath. Deaver gets it out, and a three thrown in by Minter. Leslie Minter awfully hot here in the early going, and the lead is back to 10. Bertie trying to break this pressure. That is easier said than done against this Wilson defense. From the corner, that one won't stay down for Jacques-Kelvin Roscoe. And here comes Wilson the other way, looking to push tempo. Finger roll is good, and it's 15-3. Ben Ferguson, we talked about him at the top, the only starter not on last year's title team, makes it 15-3. Tigers with their foot on the gas pedal here in the early going. Nice drive and finish from Taquan Holly. An experienced Bertie team trying to bounce back after a fast start from Wilson here this afternoon. Here come the Falcons, and a foul called on Wilson. I believe this may be on Ferguson, as Dempsey was bringing it into the front court. That is on Ben Ferguson. So just underway here in Winston-Salem. Phil Cox with you. This is the 1A East Men's Regionals. Wilson Prep, defending champions, looking to keep that season alive. Bertie trying to pull what would be considered by a lot of people an upset here today. And a held ball, alternating possession arrow, will give it to Wilson. Good look there at Brandon Anderson, another one of those experienced players for Anthony Atkinson. 15-5, Wilson Prep up. Scored the first 10 points, and that is a foul on Roscoe. As you take another look, swiping at the ball. And it will be Wilson ball out of bounds. See if Bertie can start to clamp down defensively. Nearly forced a turnover there. Boy, Minter has been so hot from the perimeter. Drives in, can't score. Loose ball. Wilson is convinced it's last touch by Bertie, and possession will be retained by the Tigers. Bertie making their way here from Windsor. Of course, Wilson Prep right there in the triangle area. And the jump shot is good. Is that Minter? It is. Leslie Minter. So hot here in the early going. A guy that averages almost 13 points a game. Seeing a big basket right now at the other end. Three-pointer by Bertie is no good. Wilson looking to push. Tigers trying to force tempo. And Zamir Dempsey down with the rebound. Out of bounds. Lost out of bounds. Dempsey trying to push it ahead. And Zamir Dempsey's so good in the open floor. Just unable to connect with, I believe that was Tavian Ward. Boy, just great position down low by David Ellis, and he's called for the travel. Ellis, with good position down low, was unsure if that was going to either be maybe a charge or a travel. And probably traveled before he committed the offensive foul. So Wilson Prep, after the super hot start, has cooled a little bit. Chance for Bertie to cut into this deficit as it rims out. Iron has been a little unkind to Bertie here in the first quarter. Tigers, other way, through contact. Minter can't finish. Here come the Falcons. Trying to get that offense going. Of course, very difficult against this Wilson defense. Driving in. Floater is no good by Roscoe. But Holly capitalizes on the second chance opportunity. And the lead is down to 10. So Wilson has cooled a little bit after just a white-hot start shooting the basketball. 1 minute left to play here, first quarter. Thought for a moment that maybe Brandon Anderson was fouled as he pulled up at the foul line, but knocks in the jumper, and it's back to a 12-point lead. This is Jaza Lee bringing it up for Bertie. Bertie able to get to the basket. Rasco drives but can't finish at the rim as we are under 30 seconds left to play here in the first quarter. Nice find and a finish by Keontae Barron. Wilson getting contributions from a lot of different contributors here in the first quarter. Boy, beautiful crossover by Dempsey. Boy, just a great job to get free, but unable to finish. Boy, Wilson just running the ball up the floor. Ellis flies in for the offensive rebound, bullies his way, second chance, and he scores. What a job by David Ellis as the first quarter comes to an end. And that right there, emblematic of how the first 8 minutes goes for Wilson Prep. The defending state champions off to a quick start. We're through 8 minutes here in Winston-Salem.
You know, I love being local for my customers. It means helping friends and neighbors. The people in this county care about who they walk beside. That's what makes it so good to live here. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
NCHSAA Championship event is brought to you by North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Welcome back to Joel Coliseum here in Winston-Salem. Phil Cox with you on the NFHS Network. What a start for Wilson Prep. Leslie Minter, you see him right there, hitting a couple of perimeter jumpers. Ben Ferguson, as you would expect, a part of the offense as well. And then David Ellis with that impressive rebound and stick back to give Wilson their biggest lead of the game here as we start the second quarter, 23-7. How does Bertie respond after this real blitz in the early going? They need a lot more of that. Zamir Dempsey, he can fill it up. Brings the Falcons within 14. A guy that can, when he gets hot, he can take over a game. He's going to get called for the reach in here. Going for the steal against Keontae Barron. That's the first on the leading scorer for Bertie over the course of the year. And the Falcons get the steal. And Barron lands on top of Trayvon Halloran. One number 2 fouls another. And Halloran should have foul shots coming up. He's taking another look at that really nice steal. That pass just not really on the mark. Good job by Barron to put the brakes on, even though he came down hard on Halloran committing the foul. Well, open for 3 from the wing. That would have got it down to 11. But Wilson Prep down with the rebound as they continue to really push the tempo. And they're going to say it was last off of a Tiger, and it'll be Falcon basketball. Bertie trying to overcome what not a lot of teams have been able to overcome this year. That early onslaught of offense from Wilson. The Southern Wake nearly, in Wilson's last game, nearly overcame that double-digit deficit, missing a 3 at the buzzer that would have got them to this point. Minter, head down. Out to an open Newsom for 3. Elijah Newsom makes it 26-9. Well, Anthony Atkinson Jr. said his team was locked in. They were ready. Said they had a great practice. They practiced over at Barton. He said they had an opportunity to play, practice on that college floor and what that did for his team. And boy, is it ever evident here in the early going. 3 by Roscoe is too strong, out of bounds to Wilson. Of course, the winner of this game gets the winner of the South Stokes-Corvian matchup a little bit later. First quarter stats just being handed to us. Wilson Prep shooting almost 53% from the field, 9 of 17, 4 of 6 from 3. Bertie, 3 of 15 from the field in the first quarter, 1 of 5 from 3. Leslie Minter with 11, including 3 3-pointers to lead the Wilson Prep scoring. Taquan Holly with 4 to lead the Bertie effort. Wilson Prep out rebounding Bertie 12-7 in the early going through the first quarter. So Minter for Wilson Prep, a guy who only averages 13, but you, of course, look at Ferguson. Minter, the second leading scorer on the team behind Ferguson, then Anderson with nearly 11.5. Shows you that balance that Wilson has that makes them so difficult. But Minter nearly getting his average in the first quarter. Bertie trying to figure out this tough defense and an aggressive drive by Roscoe. He'll earn a trip to the line. A good ball screen up top from Newsom. Got from Pillman Holly. Got Roscoe free, and he earns a trip to the stripe. Substitutions. Donovan Dickens is coming in for Wilson. You see him there as he checks in. Roscoe's second one won't go down, and it remains a 17-point lead for Wilson. 5.5 minutes left to play here, first half, and a quick moving 1A East Men's Regional. Bertie can start to make life difficult for Wilson. What a drive, and the finish by Brandon Anderson. Elijah Newsom went up, but able to avoid making contact, which of course would have been basket interference, and it is 28-9. Wilson Prep started super hot, then started to cool, but Bertie wasn't able to cut much into the lead as Taquan Holly drives in and finishes with the right hand. As we were saying, Wilson Prep started so hot, started to cool, but Bertie not able to cut much into that deficit. As Wilson Prep has continued to apply pressure, both offensively and defensively. Long three, no good. I think that was Barron who put that one up. I'm sure Anthony Atkinson will love that shot selection, but I think you can say that Coach Roscoe will like that from Samir Dempsey. Bertie would like to see a lot more of that in transition. Tigers can't finish. Bertie maybe with a little bit of momentum. Taquan Holly lost it as he went up, and here come the Tigers the other way. And a travel. And Newsom driving in. 1-5 going up against another as Pillman Holly stood his ground and forced the travel. So under 4 minutes left to play. Let's see if Bertie can cut into this. If Bertie could figure out a way to get this, maybe it's single digits, you feel like that would be a big accomplishment and give them some momentum heading into the dressing room. And Dempsey has started to assert himself, but gets called for the travel. You see Dickens there, checked in a moment ago for Coach Anthony Atkinson. What a start for Minter. He was so hot from the field, and both teams keep giving it back to one another here in the second quarter. And defense of Bertie starting to force some turnovers against a super hot Wilson team as that rims out on the jump shot from Holly, and David Ellis, a space eater down low, grabs the board. Action is stalled here a little bit in the last few minutes between these two after Wilson Prep was throwing it in from everywhere, and a foul is going to be called on Tavion Ward of Bertie. And going for that steal, trying to take it away from Josh Hicks. This is Ellis backing in, and another travel. Have to start handing out passports with all the travels out there. And Bertie crowd may have wanted a charge. An official indicating the violation, and the ball back to Bertie. So if you're the Falcons, you've got your chance here. Wilson, like they did at one point in the first half, it cooled off a little bit offensively, not because they've missed shots, but turning the basketball over. Boy, driving and scoring is Hicks. It's not like the Tigers have seen their shooting percentage come down. Bertie's been able to force some turnovers, but Falcons have had trouble hanging on to the basketball themselves. Here's a long step back three from Dempsey. And Wilson pushing it the other way with a 17-point lead. Last touched by Bertie will stay with Wilson Prep. Keontae Brown to inbound. Keontae Barron to inbound. Wilson Prep scored the first 10 points of the game and has been in front ever since. Bertie making a couple of pushes, but Wilson Prep keeping the foot on the accelerator. Long lead pass. Numbers for Bertie, and they capitalize. Tavion Ward. And another turnover. Bertie getting out in the open floor, and Tavion Ward has cut the deficit to 15. Well, we said, could the Falcons get it to single digits at the half? That's going to be a mighty tall task with 1:40 left to play and down 15. But to have it to 11 or 12 even would be a minor victory. But getting free underneath, Taquan Holly jams. And Bertie making a strong push here near the end of the second quarter. The lead is down to 13. And those that have made their way from Windsor starting to get a little bit loud here in Joel Coliseum. Nearly another turnover. Hicks misses the three. Offensive rebound by Dickens, and he should earn foul shots. So Dickens will head to the line. Just a great job as Mentor went for the steal, and Taquan Holly got free for the jam. If you're Bertie, you'd like to see a lot more easy baskets like that in the second half. First foul shot is no good by Dickens. He'll have another one coming. Approaching 1 minute to play here. First half in Winston-Salem. 1A East Men's Regional. A couple of programs that have had great years as Dempsey can't finish at the rim, and we're under a minute to play. Bertie cut it to 12 after it looked like Prep was able to was getting ready perhaps to really blow it open. Here's a steal. The other way, driving in is Roscoe. He can't finish. And a whistle, stopping play with 33 seconds left. And the ball will be given to the Falcons. Take another look at this last steal by Roscoe. He's been able to get a couple of tests. I think that may have been blocked by Ellis. And let's see what the Falcons can do. Down 14. We said about 3 or 4 minutes left in the period. Can they get this to maybe under single digits now? Get it to 11 or 12 and take some measure of momentum into the halftime locker room. Looked like for a moment Wilson Prep was maybe ready to make this a 20 or 25 point game. But you give a lot of credit to the Falcons and Coach Johnny Roscoe and the job he's been able to do to keep his team composed, and an opportunity to get this to 12 or even 11 with a three. See what type of look Bertie can get in the final seconds of half number one. Ball in Dempsey's hands, a guy who's had a great year. And an illegal screen is going to be called on Bertie. We'll get a good look at it here. So 9 seconds left for Wilson Prep to get a look. Wide open in the corner. Three is no good by Newsom. Dempsey at the buzzer. His half-court heave is no good, and that's how the first half will end here in Winston-Salem. Wilson Prep scored the first 10 points of the game. Look like they might be ready to open up a huge advantage. But Bertie able to get it back to a 31-17 game at the half. We'll step aside. Third quarter will be here before you know it as we continue here on the NFHS Network.
In 100 counties in North Carolina, we have over 800 agents. We are within the communities, and our job is to help you. It's not just a business relationship, it's a friendship. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This presentation of the NFHS Network is brought to you by Uber Teen Accounts, introducing an Uber account for your teenager. Visit uber.com/teens to learn more.
You know, I love being local for my customers. It means helping friends and neighbors. The people in this county care about who they walk beside. That's what makes it so good to live here. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This NCHSAA championship event is brought to you by North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Almost ready to start our second half here in Winston-Salem, and the story of the first half, some really impressive offensive moments for the defending state champions. Wilson Prep doing the job in the early going from beyond the arc. Leslie Minter, 3 of 4 from 3, and those really all came early. Also doing it in transition as well. Elijah Newsom going to the basket. Also that pull up from Brandon Anderson, part of his 4 points. Bertie trying to get things going. You knew they would get Dempsey involved. Zamir Dempsey with the first half that saw him score 5 points. But again, pushing the pace. Leslie Minter also doing the job in transition. Elijah Newsom. And Wilson Prep just really getting solid contributions from a lot of different players. Leslie Minter leading the scoring with 11. But everybody who played for Prep in that first half scored. I feel like you'll need a lot more of that from Dempsey in the second half. Holly with 8 to lead the Bertie scoring in half number 1. And just good job from Roscoe. Also that great pass down low from Holly. As we said, he led the scoring with 8 points in that first half. So, as we said, Wilson, it seemed like they were ready to maybe really stretch it out, but Bertie able to make it a 14-point game at the half. Of course, the winner of this game will get the winner of the South Stokes-Corvian Community matchup a little bit later this evening. Can Bertie seriously threaten here in half number 2? Good drive, and Dempsey blocks it out of bounds. It'll stay with Wilson Prep. My name's Phil Cox. You're watching NFHS coverage of the 2024 NCHSAA 1A East Men's Regional. And a good start for Wilson Prep here in the second half. And Leslie Minter picks up where he left off in half number 1 and makes it a 17-point Wilson Prep lead. A great drive underneath. Dempsey unable to finish. But Bertie takes it right back as it came right to Pillman Holly. Well, that pressure defense, so tough, so difficult. That Wilson Prep, we talked about the points that they had held opponents to of late. When you look back at their recent games, and it's on display right there. Just making it so difficult for teams to score. Team that enters 25-5. And you knew they would come in hungry. The game versus Southern Wake didn't end the way they wanted to, but Coach Anthony Atkinson Jr. really liked the way his team played defensively, as you don't see that a lot. Zamir Dempsey with an air ball. Out of bounds to Wilson Prep. Bertie, 26-4, 9-3 in the conference this winter. A nice steal by Dempsey, and he gets an easy layup. So after the air ball, Dempsey steals it on the inbounds pass and brings Bertie within 15, 34-19. Wilson Prep does such a great job pushing tempo, but maybe going a little too hard, a little too fast there was Ferguson. We talked about Ferguson at the top and how special he is. Only had 2 points in the first half, but how encouraging is that if you're Anthony Atkinson Jr., that your leading scorer can only score 2 points, and yet you take a healthy double-digit lead into the halftime break. Halloran brings it across for Bertie. Feel like if they can get it to single digits, you really start to get your contingent into it. Ellis grabs the rebound for Wilson Prep at the other end. 3 from the corner, won't go by Anderson. Tapped out of bounds, Bertie basketball. Still 2 more games to come. West Women's Regional, Mountain Heritage and Cherokee. West Men's Regional, South Stokes, Corvian Community. Kendall Lewis will ride shotgun with you for those. It's going to be a great week here in Winston-Salem. Be some high-level action. The best the Tar Heel State has to offer. Bertie trying to get that offense going, but so difficult against this Wilson Prep man-to-man. Halloran tried to get through, couldn't. Now he'll attempt it again. A lot of contact near the elbow, and Ben Ferguson in disbelief. And Halloran took it at him one time, backed it back out, then get the foul from Ben Ferguson. Of course, Ferguson, you remember, so much back on this Wilson Prep team, but Ferguson was the only guy who wasn't a starter last year, and he's led the team in scoring. Boy, just absolutely suffocating defensively. Ferguson up with the steal. I don't think Ellis was ready for it. And now Brandon Anderson will set it up. A little sloppy for both teams in the first 3 minutes of quarter number 3. Anthony Atkinson Jr. wants his offense to get to work. Anderson pulls up at the foul line, and he is hit. One number 3 fouls another as Rasco picks up the foul. Anderson got a little bit of space, and then Rasco closing in commits the shooting foul. So Brandon Anderson. Talked about the experience really for both of these teams when you look at their rosters. Pretty old teams on both benches. Anderson drills the second one, and the lead is 16, 35-19. Bertie trying to push tempo, and what a great drive and finish from Zamir Dempsey. Doesn't need numbers, doesn't need a lot. He can create when there's not much there. One of the reasons that makes him so good. Anderson flies in, can't score. Grabbing the rebound is Ellis, and he's called for a travel. David Ellis turns it over. We talked about this a couple times with Bertie. Now you've got a little bit of a cracked door. Can you walk through it? Cut it to 12 at one point in the first half when it looked like Wilson Prep was ready to blow this thing wide open. Chance to get it to 12 or even 11 with a 3. A double team to Sins, but still scoring is Holly. It's down to 12. Said this with the Falcons. You can get this under single digits. You start to get your crowd into it. Apply a little bit of game pressure on Wilson Prep. And one opportunity coming for Hicks. Boy, Josh Hicks just took it right into the heart of that Bertie defense. Foul is going to be on Tavion Ward. And stemming the momentum there momentarily as Bertie had cut it to 12, now back to 14, but Bertie turns it over. What a block. Out of bounds. Kai Pillman-Holly rejects the shot attempt after the turnover, the drive in from Ben Ferguson, and blocked out of bounds. So it was momentarily down to 12, back out to 14. As driving in is Hicks. Gets his own rebound and sticks it up and in. Josh Hicks staying right with it. Stretches it back out to a 16-point Tigers advantage. It looked like for a moment there Bertie was able to put a real strong run together, maybe get this to under single digits. But in the blink of an eye, Wilson Prep has seen it swell to 16, 39-23. And now a whistle as the ball is inbounded. And a foul. With 3:29 left to play in the third quarter. And Wilson Prep now with an opportunity, you would think, when it looked like Bertie was about to really put a strong push together as Hicks drives in, and he is fouled by Tavion Ward. With 3:24 left to play in the third quarter, Wilson Prep has got it back out to 16. Now, if you're the Tigers, you feel like you can really clamp down, maybe extend this out to 20 and remove all doubt going into the fourth quarter. But remember, this is a Wilson Prep team on Friday, had a double-digit lead versus Southern Wake and nearly saw the game completely slip away, with Wilson Prep needing a missed three at the end of the game to avoid getting beaten. When you look at this Tigers team, the thing that impresses you is their defense. They can score, but they can also lock you down on the defensive end of the floor. Anderson loves that foul line jumper. Can't hit that one. Bertie down with the rebound. Feel like it is imperative that the Falcons make a push here near the end of the third quarter. That three looked good, but wouldn't stay down. Under 3 minutes left to play. Third period action. Hicks, front of the rim, no good. Neither team has shot that well from three today. A layup at the other end wouldn't stay down, and Wilson down with the board. Wesley Minter, who started really hot, he had 11 points in the blink of an eye. Has seen his teammates pick up the pace offensively and lost out of bounds. Back to Bertie. So again, said this a couple times, Wilson Prep leaving the door open in some regards. You take a look at what's ahead for the winner of this game. Victor here gets the winner of the South Stokes Caravian Community matchup to finish out our day here in Winston-Salem. Can Bertie put a little flurry together here at the end of the third quarter? An open three for Halloran won't go. Both teams continue to struggle from beyond the arc. At the half, Bertie shot just 1 of 8 from three. Wilson Prep started out strong, 5 of 10 in the first half, but has struggled since, and 3 of those 4 came from Minter. To give Bertie credit, as far as perimeter defense, they've clamped down in the second half. It's been 39-23 for a minute here, and they're going to call Hicks for an offensive foul. Josh Hicks creating that separation. Called for the foul, and he'll check out. Keontae Barron checks in. Bertie could get a bucket or two here. Get this down to 14 or even closer. Feel like they would have at least a glimmer of hope going into the fourth. Trying to take advantage. Ball is blocked with 90 seconds left to play in the third. Barron sees it rim out. Boy, that iron has been unkind at a couple of key points for Bertie today. And at the other end, strong drive from Ben Ferguson. He'll head to the stripe. Foul is on Holly for Bertie. And 2 shots coming up for Ben Ferguson. Already saw East Columbus with an impressive double-digit win over East Bladen to advance. And they'll play the winner of the Mountain Heritage Cherokee Regional Final coming up at the conclusion of this game. Still 1:10 to play here in the third quarter from Joel Coliseum, and a foul on Ferguson as he was trying to stay with Dempsey, which is a very difficult assignment. Coach Anthony Atkinson Jr. said he felt like one of the keys, if not the main key, for his team was to hold down Dempsey, and for the most part, they've done a nice job. Had just 2 points in the first half. And now another foul. This one is going to be on Brandon Anderson of Wilson. Open three from the corner for Holly. Will not go. Bertie's shooting struggles continue. Anderson. Ferguson had a notion. Drops it off to Ellis, and he scores underneath. That's good, unselfish play by Ferguson. Not take the jump shot. And find an open Ellis for the easy basket, and the lead is 18, 41-23. Under 30 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Bertie has been stuck on 23 points for a while. Ball knocked away. Wilson Prep up with the steal. Bertie takes it right back. 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Dempsey with 6. Here's Dempsey. Step back. 3 is short. 1 second left. Shot no good, and that's how the third quarter will end. We will go to the fourth with the defending state champion leading by 18. Back to Winston-Salem in just a moment.
In 100 counties in North Carolina, we have over 800 agents. We are within the communities, and our job is to help you. It's not just a business relationship, it's a friendship. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
This presentation of the NFHS Network is brought to you by Uber Teen Accounts, introducing an Uber account for your teenager. Visit uber.com/teens to learn more.
Back for the fourth quarter here in Winston-Salem on the NFHS Network. I'm Phil Cox. Wilson opening up a healthy 41-23 lead over Bertie. Winner of this game to get the winner of South Stokes Corvian Community coming up a little bit later. Wilson Prep, a team that has been so impressive over the course of this year as it's knocked away. Lost 2 of their first 3 games of the season, but have been on it ever since then. Have had some impressive offensive outputs, but boy, the margins of victory just really stand out to you. Recent games versus Northside Pontown and North Duplin, 91-35, 92-47 differentials. Not going to be the offensive output today, and you give Bertie a lot of credit for that. But defensively, it's a Wilson Prep team showing why they are as potent as they are. Barron will drive in. Acrobatic shot won't go. Ellis had a hand on it. Bertie down with the rebound. 3 here makes things a little interesting, and it's good. Bertie has cut it to 13. Falcons not done yet. Still a lot of time left here in Winston-Salem. A Bertie team that has really struggled to shoot the basketball, especially from beyond the arc. Knocks one in, and the lead is down to 13. Whistle and a timeout asked for by the Tigers. And we'll use that opportunity to update you on some of these stats as you see this last transition basket thrown in by Jakelvin Rasco. Before that, through 3 quarters, Bertie was just 1 of 15 from 3. 0 of 4 from the line, and just 11 of 45 for the game, 24%. That was Rasco's first points. They're led in scoring by Dempsey with 11, Taquan Holly with 10. When Rasco threw in that three-pointer, he was just the 4th Falcon to score. Wilson Prep shooting 42% at the end of the third quarter. Pretty good from 3, but they've struggled since the first half. Just 2 of 7 from beyond the arc in the second half, 6 of 13 from 3. They've struggled a little bit from the line themselves, 3 of 8 from the stripe. Second chance points been a big story, 13 for Wilson Prep, just 2 for Bertie, as Wilson Prep, as you might expect with the second chance points, has out-rebounded Bertie 30-19. Bertie has only turned the ball over 9 times, so they've taken good care of the basketball. Conversely, Wilson Prep has turned it over 19 times. Whistle and a block is going to be called on Bertie. Take another look as Keontae Barron was bringing it up the floor, and Jakelvin Rasco picks up the foul. 13-point lead for Wilson Prep. It has been as many as 19. That was back in the first half. Midway through the second quarter when it had swollen to that 19-point advantage. Now we have a whistle and an official's timeout. There's some perspiration on the playing floor, so they're going to take care of that. Officials today, introduced them to you earlier. Rick McLean, our referee, Kevin Jones, and Eric Perdue drawing the assignment for this matchup. What does Bertie have left? They've been able to scratch back a couple times. Haven't been able to get this lead in single digits since, of course, the early moments. And an alley-oop, successful. What a layup to Elijah Newsom, and he finished it above the rim. And the lead back to 15. You remember Wilson Prep scored the first 10 points of the game and has really never looked back. Take another look at this beautiful lob from Barron and the finish from Newsom to make it a 43-28 contest. Under 6 minutes to play. Still time here for Bertie, but they've got to put something together. Here's a three that's thrown in from Halloran. That gets it down to 12 after struggling so mightily from the perimeter. Bertie starting to come on here. Crowd wants a 10-second call on Wilson, but Bertie gets the turnover anyway. A bucket here brings those that have made the trip from Windsor awfully excited. That rims out, and it will belong to Wilson Prep. If that had gone in, that would have brought those attired in the dark jerseys, cheering for those in the dark uniforms, to their feet. Trying to break that pressure. They get it ahead to Ferguson. Ferguson lays it up for Ellis for the dunk. Couple of alley-oops here in the fourth quarter. Those attired in the orange to their feet. At the other end, a three from Rasco is no good. Wilson looking to push the tempo. Here come the Tigers. On the drive, the layup is good, and the lead is back to 16 as Ferguson finishes with the left hand. 5 minutes to play. And a very late whistle. This is going to be a foul on Wilson Prep. As you take another look at this beautiful feed and the finish. Ellis with the dunk for Wilson Prep. And we've got a timeout asked for by Bertie. 4:57 left to play in this 1A East Men's Regional Final. The right to play South Stokes or Corvian Community. And what will be our last game of the day here in Winston-Salem as you take a look at what awaits the winner of this game. Well, that's South Stokes Corvian Community in the West. Will be quite a game between those two teams. They've had special years, and the energy in this building. South Stokes not too far away from Winston-Salem. Should be quite an environment here this evening here at the Joel Coliseum. Of course, an exciting time around the country. If you love basketball, this is the time of year you look forward to. Conference tournaments, of course the NCAA tournament on the way. It's just nothing like March, and the high school level in the Tar Heel State, as good as you'll find anywhere in the country. Bertie basketball started to see some perimeter shots go in. They need a lot of shots to go in down the stretch if they want to put some pressure on Wilson Prep. Boy, great step back. Trevon Halloran getting hot here in the fourth quarter. Knocks down a three to get the lead back to 13. Inbounded to Brandon Anderson. Up ahead to Ferguson. And here comes Bertie. Chance to get even closer. On the drive, the and one opportunity on the way for Taquan Holla. Just a tremendous finish. Pushing the tempo. And Taquan Holly will have a chance for three. Remember, Wilson Prep scored the first 10 points of the game. Free throw is no good. Bertie has not been able to cut this to single digits. Pressure by Bertie in the backcourt. Wilson Prep was having a little bit of trouble getting it in. Here come the Tigers. Ball knocked away. Halloran's got it. He's been hot from three. Here's another one. Look out. It's down to 8 with 4:15 to go. This is the closest it's been since it was 8-0. And a layup by Brandon Anderson gets it back to 10. Timeout Wilson Prep. That bucket by Halloran to make it 47-39 was the closest it's been since it was 8-0. As the Tigers, you remember, scored the first 10 of the game. So now Bertie has something to shoot for. A lot of time left, 4:08. They've started to get hot from three. Halloran has been unconscious from beyond the arc here in the fourth quarter especially. Bertie has done a good job of hanging on to the basketball. And Wilson Prep at times has struggled to take care of the rock. So timeout asked for by Wilson Prep with 4:08 to play. And if you're the Tigers, you feel like it is imperative to find Trevon Halloran on the three-point line. He has really put his team on his back. And his shooting, one of the reasons Bertie's still in this thing. Let's see how they guard number 2 in black when he catches the basketball. And if you're Wilson Prep, you'd love to even deny him the catch. Rasco thought about it for a moment. Dempsey's got it. He's been a little bit quiet. You'd love for him to get involved if you're Bertie. Here comes Wilson Prep. Ball lost, recovered. Anderson's got it. Halloran putting good pressure on the ball. Anderson gives it off to Ellis, and he scores. Ellis has been really good in the post today for Wilson Prep, and he gets it back out to a 12-point game. Here's Halloran again. That one is short. Ferguson. Maybe not been vintage Ben Ferguson today. For Wilson Prep, you knew that Bertie would try to stop him, slow him down as much as they could. Ferguson able to break that 5 count. He's got Rasco draped all over him. And Wilson Prep very clearly trying to take some time off the clock, really make Bertie come out and guard them. And a foul is called on Dempsey. So Wilson Prep able to burn probably a good minute there, forcing the Falcons to come out and really put some pressure on them. That was just the second team foul, so they still got quite a few more fouls to give as Halloran commits that one. That should be team foul number 3. So it still should be one more foul to give. Are they calling an offensive foul? I believe one of our officials indicated an offensive foul. So they're going to give the basketball to Bertie. It looked like that was a situation where Bertie was trying to foul. It looked like they had fouled, but the foul is called on the Tigers, and it gives the basketball to Bertie. Here's a 3 that will not go. That would have got it down to 9. Halloran's, or rather Holly's tip won't go. And if you're Bertie, if you can't force the turnover, you've got a foul here. And they foul right before Wilson we have a timeout. Excuse me. There was a lot going on that play. At first it looked like that Bertie had fouled, and then it also looked like maybe Wilson, ball handler, had stepped on the inline. That would have made it an over and back, but before all of that, we had a timeout. So Bertie still needing to foul a couple of more times to get Wilson Prep on the line. By our count, just 2 team fouls on Bertie. So still a couple of more fouls that Bertie needs to commit to get Wilson Prep to the stripe. If you're the Falcons, you'd love to just force the turnover and not have to worry about that. But at some point, you would think it's going to come down to fouling and getting the Tigers to help you out a little bit by missing some foul shots. Not to that point yet. 12-point Wilson Prep lead, 2:12 to play. And there's a foul. Not surprising. Tavion Ward committing it. And of course, in high school basketball this year, new rule, there is no 1-and-1. Fouls reset after every period, and once you commit 5 team fouls, your opponent is awarded 2 shots. And another foul with 2:03 to go. So Bertie needing to foul one more time to put Wilson Prep on the line as we roll under 2 minutes to play. And Hicks is fouled. So Josh Hicks will head to the line for 2 shots with 1:58 to go, and Wilson Prep leading by 12. Well, this has been some effort by Bertie. They got it down to single digits. They got it to 8. And remember, Wilson Prep scored the first 10 points of the game, so that had been the closest they had been since it was 8-0. A Bertie team that you knew would not fold, would not throw in the towel, has had quite a run to get to this point. Bertie able to get Halloran hot from beyond the arc to cast a little doubt on this one, but now out to a 14-point lead with 1:52 to go. Long 3, no good. Ellis with the rebound, and he's fouled with 1:48 to play. So we'll head to the other end. And more shots for the Tigers. Hope you'll stay with us. Mountain Heritage and Cherokee on the way. That game's slated to start at 6 o'clock. Then following that, South Stokes and Corvian Community to play the winner of this game. Ellis's free throw. Good looking stroke from the big guy. Defending state champion, this Wilson Prep team. Working their way over from the triangle area. Got out to a 10-0 start. And have been able to resist the Bertie pushes. Falcons coming at them a couple different times. But an impressive showing for the Tigers and head coach Anthony Atkinson Jr. Ellis doing good work down low with his rebounding efforts. Giving the Tigers some second chance opportunities. As we said, good looking stroke for a big guy at the line, and the deficit for Bertie is 17. And a whistle with under 90 seconds. Will send the Tigers back to the stripe. Wilson team, as we said, went 25-5. Went 25-5 coming into this game, coming off that tough game versus Southern Wake where they had to hold on late. The Wilson team has not lost since a kind of a head scratcher game at home to Greenfield, 78-52. But have since reeled off 11 in a row. Anthony Atkinson Jr. knew his team, locked in, ready to go. He said they just had to be who they are, and they have done that today. Thought that his defense was strong in that Southern Wake game, and they have been impressive today. Scored the first 10 points and have really never looked back since. For Bertie, they had won 11 straight coming into this one, coming off a 61-43 win versus Washington County. Their defense had been special. They had held Washington County to just 4 points in the fourth quarter to get that win. Man, how about this guy at the line and the job he did in the second half, shooting the basketball. Trayvon Halloran giving his team a chance with some special play coming down the stretch. As we said, 2 more games to come today. Mountain Heritage and Cherokee in the West Women's Regional Final. As take a look at our Uber Teen Accounts player of the game, Leslie Minter. Boy, did he start out strong, especially from beyond the arc. Hitting some perimeter jump shots, helping kickstart this Wilson Prep offense. It's going to be another impressive showing for Wilson Prep. Halloran drains another one. As we said, his shooting so much a part of Bertie's comeback to cut it to 8. But as Wilson Prep has done so many times over the course of the year, when teams make pushes at them, when teams make runs at them, able to bounce back. Great crowd here in Joel Coliseum. Fans making their way in. A lot of excitement in this building, and it will only build over the course of the week here in the Triad area. As we roll under 40 seconds, Bertie able to get the offense going, but just a little too late. Maybe not the offensive game that Wilson Prep has enjoyed over the course of the year, but they knew they were in for a fight. This Bertie team, scrappy bunch, making their way over from Windsor. Nothing to hang their heads about in their effort this afternoon. Uber Teen Accounts player of the game, Leslie Minter, to the line. Under 30 seconds to play. Always tough for those seniors, being their last time going out there, putting on a uniform. at the high school level. And Wilson Prep trying to repeat, and they'll have an opportunity to do it. And good sportsmanship, which is what you love to see. You know it's going to be competitive. There's the dunk from Kai Pillman-Holly. And that'll do it. Wilson Prep gets off to a great start and wins in impressive fashion, 62-46. The final in the East Men's 1A Regional, as they will await the winner of South Stokes and Corvian Community. That game to tip around 8 o'clock. We'll step aside. Still a lot more to come here on the NFHS Network.